Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton. I'm at Apex 2025 on the Co-Young booth, and I'm joined by Sean from Vexos. Sean, thanks for talking to me. You were at the EMS Leadership Summit yesterday with the great and the good of the industry. What did you learn? What's new?
Well, that's a good question. You know, a lot of discussion around strategy and talent acquisition and retention.
Yeah.
So that was some really good messaging. How to bring some of that strategic messaging to all of your sites, to all of your people.
Yeah.
Was really nice to hear. You know, there's a lot of discussion around some of the trade things that are going on. You know,
inevitable.
So that was interesting elements as well.
And they're really important elements for Vexos. You know, we used to think of you as a Canadian company. You're really very much a global player now with facilities around the world. The latest addition, Juarez, Grove.
So great point there. So last year we added Juarez, right? And then September 2023 they acquired my former company, ControlTek, in the Northwest. And so really it's a really nice footprint. So Mexico, US, Canada, of course, as you mentioned, and then Vietnam and Dongguan as well, and China. So really we can cover every region of the globe, and we are having to adapt a little bit to some of these things that are happening on the trade side.
Yeah. What is it you really need when you think about that? Is it the outcome of the discussions, or is it just a bit of certainty so you know where you are going forward?
You know, it's funny. It's really an uncertainty piece, right? So business, I think, really likes certainty. You know, and so when we don't have certainty, you have to start not necessarily hedging, but you have to model, and you have to assess risk, right? And so our customers are doing the same thing, and we're doing the same thing. We're trying to listen to our customers as best we possibly can, and then position and try to help them as best we possibly can. And you know, until the certainty becomes more certain, you know, we're going to have to kind of play this game a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting when you think about how Vexos as a business has developed and how you've grown and how you've adjusted that global footprint. When you think about those moves, you've got to start to think about agility as well now. You've got to start thinking, we may need to move a job quickly because of either because of demand signals or because of a trade or tariff issue or some other disruption that is unexpected. Can you build agility into a business that is actually
scaled that way?
Scaling as well.
Yeah, I think you can, right? And we're working hard at that. So our global team is involved. So not just on the business development side, but on the supply chain side as well. So we're all coordinating together. We meet regularly and talking about different opportunities. You know, I'll phrase them that way, opportunities, as they are presented to us.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? And when you look at that from an operations point of view, you know, we've talked a lot about the kind of business side and the strategy, but when you think about operations, are there things that you have to do in terms of ops to create that agility, to be able to move a job quickly from one facility to the other, to have a global supply chain approach that's
a good question too, right? So you know, standardization, the more you can standardize across platforms is good, right? So you know, not just in equipment, but also in terms of data, and you know, having a data room that we can share. Now, some things might be regulated, so you want to make sure that that's contained properly. But so that's a real important piece. But really, it really often comes down to communication. It comes down to communication between our salespeople, our ops side, and the customer, and making sure that we're really connected to them, and we're really talking a lot, so we understand what they might need.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's essential when you're building a global footprint and you're connecting companies, and you know, it's lovely, the idea of matching equipment sets is great, but when you're acquiring, when you're building new and equipment's moved on, there's all kinds of different dynamics. But the thing that you can push out across a whole organization is culture. That becomes really important. You've come into this business with ControlTek's culture, then you've matched with Vexos' culture. How has that cultural fit been, and how important do you think culture is in terms of the equation in a global company?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think it's very important, and we had a question about this on the EMS council yesterday, and a couple of the panelists were addressing it. You know, it's culture, geographic culture can be slightly different, right? Age group culture could also be different, right?
Yeah.
So the key, I think, is like making sure you're clear on your strategy, and then when you're communicating your strategy, that you're hitting key points of each of those elements, cultural and age demographics, right? Because each of those areas, people will listen and they will pick up the words that mean something to them, and then the whole message will get there. You've said it maybe 3 times in different ways, but guess what? Everybody heard the same message, just differently.
Yeah. And Sean, from a personal point of view, you had an exciting ride with ControlTek.
Yeah.
You had the you had the crescendo there of the sale of the business.
Yeah.
You're now in a new business.
Yeah.
Different challenges, different things.
It is different.
How
for
does that
sure.
look going forward?
Yeah, great question. So when we owned it, right? So you really felt all of it. Like you could feel the bumps in the road almost, right? So and now it's a little different. We're
a little bit more insulation, a little bit more suspension,
and explaining it to others is like the new ownership group. They need to understand what we used to feel.
Yeah.
So they need a lot of data because that's all they can kind of get, right? They can come visit and welcome, but really they want to see that data.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit different because we just knew it.
Yeah.
We knew it, right? And we knew our customers really well. So that's one thing. The other thing is interesting. Like when we were acquired, we were interested in a couple of things. We were interested in supply chain help.
Yeah.
And we got that with Vexos, a global supply chain team that we can leverage across sites,
huge.
right? Really big.
Yeah.
We didn't really have a sales team. So we were very interested in a sales. We got that with Vexos.
You picked the right partner on both of those counts.
An excellent global sales force, right? So, and then we also didn't have scalability beyond our site's manufacturing capabilities. We had no low-cost labor market that we could take advantage of, right? So,
and they have one on your doorstep.
And now we got that as well.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the trifecta we were looking for, and I think we got it.
Okay. Well, Sean, I think it's great that you've stayed in the business. It's a real asset to Vexos to have someone that's entrepreneurial as well as good at what they do. I wish you well in the future and all the best for Vexos.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.